So, hello, my name is Juan Felipe, and today I'm going to talk about the world of sport betting, and I'm going to try to answer by why it's so difficult to leave this world once you are inside of it. So, the world of sport betting is usually very friendly, since it's thought that you can win a lot of money. Now we are going to see a case of recent victory to know how tempting this world of sport betting can be, as it is now. The match between Llaneros and Unión Magdalena for the rise of Colombian professional football could be classified as the most controversial game, embarrassing and expensive that the national football team will have in a long time. So, as is shown in the image, the figures that were paid on the 92 minutes of the game when Llaneros won the commitment 1-0, the betting platform paid 151 times the bet. That is, if someone put a million of pesos, will pay 151 times this million of pesos. For the victory of Unión Magdalena, they will take a sum of a lot of million of pesos, figures that surpass any reality and which it makes me reflect the football is in the hands of the bets. But since you can earn a lot, you also can lose a lot of money. And in the following case of addiction, will know how vulnerable a person can become to tempting in this world. So in the image, as you can see in the slide, her name is Mark and became an addict along her 30 years old. He started after a meeting with a friend who played a lot. Uh, he started to bet around six games in a row and make combined plays with 3 euros. He encouraged he to try, and he started betting 3 euros because he will have a profit of around 75 euros. So he won this first bet and become a lover of betting because that money came in handy. Like any addict, Mark believes that there are methods to win and in the world of gambling. He explained that the thing in when there are important games. However, he was uh, also aware that it's important to study the team standings. And he said that in a one day he bet 22 euros and won 340. But this is a vice. There are friends of him who have seriously problems paying electricity or rent because of sport betting, and they feel very bad if they lose, and also they will feel very good if they win. Mark said that he once bet her entire salary on one team that was her favorite team, and this team lost. Since the situation, he don't spend money in bets anymore because he get aware of how the damage of the sport betting can give in her common life. What an best example that he spent her uh, whole salary of a whole month in a bet. So the bet addiction is similar to other addictions. Experts are struck by the fact that many of these addictions of betting are accompanied by others such as alcoholism, cocaine, or even sex. From this, it seems to follow that ultimately the addiction does not seek pleasure or a specific pleasure, but a pleasure caused by pain or ultimately finds pleasure in the same pain. The vocation of the addict is purely self-destructive. Also, gambling under influence of alcohol is much worse. I don't need to explain this. Since the intoxicated person is disinhibited, it will have an less self-control, and this is the reason for many casinos or bingo halls that the drink is usually cheaper or even free. So we can see that the addiction to sport bets is a problem that has great relevance, and with the passing of years, this addiction can change the person of a life drastically in a very worse way. So, as I said previously, since you can win a lot, you can also use too much. And this is evident in the studies presented in an other testaments of sport betting. So the process to enter to this world could be so easy. First, you start betting on those sports that you have some knowledge, such as football or basketball, with your favorite team as Real Madrid in the Champions League final. Second, it continues with other types of bets. You start to think about other sports like baseball, rugby, darts, American hockey, and something like this. And third, you end up betting on anything, the next goal, who takes the corner, who will make the next goal, like Cristiano Ronaldo makes the next goal for Manchester United and something like this. So as you can see, at first, this activity begins as mere entertainment, but ends becoming a fatal problem when the person can stop thinking about getting money to continue playing and cover debts. And the moment the game goes from a beginning of entertainment to becoming a necessity, and that is when it is a necessity to take action because you need to be aware of your own problem. People with gambling addiction do not distinguish between winning and almost winning. So when the match score is close to the bet result, the same brain area is activated in this type of people and makes it think that they win. This is not the same case of the people without an addiction who see a near victory for what is an defeat. Because in the sport betting world doesn't exist a near victory, or it's a win or a defeat, but there is a neutral point. So the people with gambling addiction do not distinguish between these two scenarios. So there exist certain risk factors that can predispose a person to end having a gambling problems, such as psychological and social. First, psychological factors. Among the formers, for example, are high impulsiveness and need to think a strong sensation, difficulties in coping with conflicts, and had a low self-esteem. And next, the social factors. Among the social ones, living in an environment that have favored the gambling from a very early age, in which parents have gambled or addicted to gambling or have suffered a stressful or traumatic situation in her life, and this also became a risk. So how you can stop to gambling? As I said, usually the first step to get out of this disease is to recognize the problem and be aware of it. Most of people seek treatment of problems with sport betting because of family pressure, rather than because they have understood that they have a problem. This slows down the treatment since a first phase must be devoted to making the person aware of their problem. As I said previously, if you are not aware of your own problem, probably you will not um, want to take an treatment to unhook your disease. So, unhook affected people with this disease is a long period of time because this took a long between by 9 months and a year, since these people must be taught to live with a bunch of advertising and betting advertising without being led to a bet, because we know that we are in a technological era and we are to involve in the technological devices like smartphone, computer, and with these big enterprises, you are into this world, and you will have to be uh, more you will need to be more aware of these uh, big companies that are like the owners of the internet, because they will always look like your preference and show you advertisements of this preference, like in sport betting addicted. You will have advertisement of bets, and you will be lead to bet. Finally, when gambling is a hobby, the person bets as a form of entertainment, playing moderately and enjoying the game experience without taking big risk. But when this hobby becomes an addiction, the way of playing changes. Just the main characteristic of pathological gamblers is to lose the control in relation to betting, which is the person to have seriously personal work, academic, and social consequences and problems. The person addicted to gambling cannot thinking about playing, looking for money to bet and investing excuses so that no one detects their addiction, and no one can give a treatment to this addicted. So gambling is a disease and not a vice. And I think that we need to be aware of these kind of problems, because we only think about addiction to drugs and other type of addiction, but I think that the most of people doesn't know about this type of addiction, and it's an interesting topic because not is only that appears in some previous years, is a problem that persists in per years. And my personal advice is that if you have some of these kind of problems, look for some professional help, because you need to be aware of your own problem, as I said previously, and you will have a good treatment and pass this disease. So I I want to invite you to think about this disease, and thank you for listening my GML talk, and I hope you have been able to have some knowledge about this very interesting topic. So thanks for viewing.